All right, I am back in studio. Time for a more formal, I guess, hooded sweatshirt. Not that formal. Lombardi AM Scramble. And it's a good day to do one because one of our crowning February articles came out this morning. The state of the 49ers quarterback position on The Athletic. The headline: between Brock Purdy and Trey Lance, uncertainty reigns. This wrapped up our 8-part series covering the entire 49ers roster, the state of the 49ers series. We went through every single position group. This year we started with special teams and we end with QB leading up into the NFL Combine. I flew to Nashville last night. I'll be heading up to Indianapolis for the Combine on Sunday morning. And I think it was a good idea that we did do this in reverse order because of the uncertainty at the 49ers quarterback position. Had we done this in the original order with quarterbacks going first 2 weeks ago, we wouldn't have known about Brock Purdy's delayed surgery. We wouldn't have known about Trey Lance's pushback in timing, at least relative to what he initially said. Trey Lance said that he'd be ready, fully cleared by the end of February, but then he said, "I did misspeak," in an interview with Rich Eisen at the Super Bowl. So Trey Lance will be throwing this weekend. At least that's the plan. Throwing, dropping back, doing that kind of stuff. But he's not expecting to be fully cleared until some point before OTAs. Meanwhile, Brock Purdy's state is in much more limbo because he actually requires the surgery to begin for the doctor to know exactly how he's going to proceed with the treatment plan. It's either going to be an internal brace technique for Brock Purdy, which is the hope for Purdy and the 49ers, because that is a less intrusive operation and would be a quicker potential recovery, or it's going to be something like a hybrid reconstruction. I think that at this point, nobody's talking about Tommy John surgery. At least nobody that's an expert on this is talking about Tommy John surgery. But Tommy John is a reconstructive surgery, and there is a chance that the 49ers, or this wouldn't really be the 49ers' decision, but there'd be a chance that the 49ers quarterback would undergo a partially hybrid reconstructive surgery that goes along with the internal brace. And the recovery for that could be longer. So a lot still up in the air because Brock Purdy has got swelling in the elbow that is preventing a safe surgery from beginning. We're going to wait to see that surgery start, and then we're going to see everybody. And when I say we, I mean everybody. Dr. Keith Meister is the leading UCL repair specialist in the U.S. He's going to be able to see the extent of the damage once he gets in there. Swelling could mean that the damage of the UCL obviously is worse than initially expected, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. There could also still be already be some healing going on, and the swelling still not subsiding. It's not a be-all, end-all indicator of what's going on inside of the elbow. That's why I say uncertainty rules the day. We do not know for sure. Anyway, that's the 49ers QB update. Why don't we get into the state of the 49ers quarterback position as far as looking back at the efficiency of 2022. When I say that Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo's efficiency marks were remarkably similar, take a look at this. This is the graph that I put into the article, or I guess I should say the chart that I put into the article. Blue is good, red is bad. These are 49ers quarterbacks under Shanahan throughout the years since 2017. Go ahead and check out the piece. The link is going to be in the description. I'll put it into the comment section a little bit later, but check it out in the description. This is the definitive look at how 49ers quarterbacks have done under Shanahan on a per play efficiency basis, not in raw yardage totals, which wouldn't tell us much of anything. First of all, there have been a lot of different quarterbacks to start games for Kyle Shanahan, as you could see right here. This is every single starter under Shanahan over the course of his 6 years with the 49ers. Second of all, Jimmy Garoppolo in 2017 remains the gold standard of quarterback play for the 49ers in the Shanahan era. As you can see across the board, dark blue, except in turnover EPA per game, which is the amount of points that he lost through turnovers, usually interceptions. That was Garoppolo's biggest weakness in 2017. He was still above average. 49ers went through a lot of red after that, as you can see. before landing back on solid quarterback play. Not terrible with Nick Mullins in 2018, but he was still turning the ball over too much. And then in 2019, they reestablished good quarterback play with Jimmy Garoppolo, although he wasn't doing as well in the turnover department. 2020, more injuries, Mullins' big regression. 2021, Trey Lance started the season, actually delivered some decent efficiency clips, had his issues with accuracy. Actually, it was Jimmy Garoppolo started the season. I'm sorry. But when we talk about Trey Lance starting his career, decent efficiency clips, had his issue with accuracy. Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance both had their issues with injuries. It was a good year across the board for Jimmy Garoppolo, an improvement over his 2020 season for sure. In many ways, an improvement over his 2019 season as well in 2021, but he was hurt. And that led us to 2022. When Trey Lance started the season, Trey Lance was not good, but there are valid reasons as to why. Jimmy Garoppolo relieved him. Garoppolo was playing some of his best football ever, comparable in some ways to his 2017 season, as you can see from these horizontal lines looking between 22 and 17. But Garoppolo himself was also hurt. Purdy came in, and Brock Purdy, for a rookie, delivered some sensational efficiency for the 49ers. In fact, to the point where Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo's efficiency was remarkably similar. They're both at 7.6 adjusted net yards per attempt, which is going to factor in interceptions and touchdown passes as well. Defense adjusted value over average. Garoppolo was better than Purdy. Garoppolo actually finished number 1 in the NFL in DVOA, 30.4%. But Purdy was better in EPA per game, which is not defense adjusted. I think a lot of Garoppolo's boost in DVOA came from the fact that his worst game, when his arm was still working back into shape against Denver, came against the good Denver defense. So DVOA took that into account. Success rate, 51% for Garoppolo, 50% for Purdy, both good numbers. Lance, though, was terrible in success rate. That's the percentage of plays that go for a positive EPA. Lance was 39%. So Lance was, that's way too inconsistent. I would say really tiny sample with the monsoon game and only a few plays in the Seattle game. Sure. But Lance was at 40%, as you could see, Lance 2021. Lance was just at 40% last season, too, and that was also terrible. I think that Lance is who we've seen during training camp, and that's up and down, up and down, up and down. One day great, one day bad. The mechanics and the accuracy, or the mechanics aren't consistent, so neither is the accuracy. And therefore, the accuracy is bad. If the accuracy is bad, he's not hitting the layups at the rate that he should be hitting the layups, and the success rate is not what the 49ers needed to be. It was interesting in 2021, Lance was at 8.0 adjusted net yards per attempt. Really good. That's an elite number, but a terrible success rate, which indicated that he was a boom or bust quarterback. Here in 2022, Lance was not good in either, and DVOA was really bad. But again, he only played in that monsoon game plus a few snaps in Seattle before getting hurt. Still, some concerning patterns for Lance are that success rate replicated from 2021 to 2022. And CPOE, this is completion percentage over expectation. It's going to measure accuracy based on throw distance. Lance was really bad in 2022. He was bad to begin with accuracy-wise in 21, really bad in 22. So it's really clear that Trey Lance needs to work on his accuracy. But again, there have been valid reasons as to why he has seen some of these struggles. We'll get to talking about Purdy and Garoppolo here a little bit more in a second. But a lot of focus should be on Trey Lance because Brock Purdy currently has a torn UCL, hasn't even undergone surgery. Trey might not be fully cleared to go, but he's certainly the closest 49ers quarterback under contract for 2023. That is, knocking on the door to play. So, I mean, I think all spotlight needs to be on Trey Lance. I think a look at his struggles from 2021 and 2022 and a sense of honesty about them. Yes, they were, I think, in large part influenced by a tiny sample size. An honest look at those struggles is really important right now because it represents what Lance and what the 49ers have to work on in this 2023 calendar year, because it might be that he is forced to be the guy. It's not Purdy's job if Purdy still has a torn UCL or still recovering from it early in 2023. And even then, I think that the 49ers are blessed to have two quarterbacks on a rookie deal with some ability. We know that Trey Lance has some ability despite the struggles so far. We know that Brock Purdy obviously has some ability based on what we've seen this past season. If they can get them both back to health quickly, they've got an awesome situation on their hands. Two guys on rookie deals, two guys with a lot of potential, two guys can duke it out, and quarterback depth is never a bad thing. In fact, the 49ers exhausted it last year. It was good they had so much of it last year, but they still needed even more before they ran into their catastrophic finish in Philadelphia. So, anyway, Trey Lance, what's the biggest thing to improve on? And what are the valid reasons as to why he has struggled so far? Well, we get this back up on the screen. See some of the Trey struggles. Look at the Lance 21 line, Lance 22 line. We saw potential explosiveness from Lance in 21. I think that we would have seen some explosiveness from Lance in 22 if he hadn't played his entire first game and what was it, 85 to 90% of his season in Lake Michigan over in Chicago. The success rate is concerning. That's something that carried over into training camp when we were tracking how Lance was doing, or carried from training camp when we were tracking how Lance was doing. Too much volatility. One day good, one day bad. He's got to tighten up some of those mechanics. I don't think it's a mental issue for Trey Lance. I don't think it's a physical issue for Trey Lance. I think it's a mechanical issue for Trey Lance. That's what Steve Young has said. That's what many people around the 49ers who I've talked to have surmised. He's got to tighten up the release. He's got to get the reps in, reps that he obviously didn't have in large volume in college, only being a one-year starter at North Dakota State, lower level college football. At the NFL level, if the mechanics are not on point, if the release time is not where it needs to be, the rushers are fast, windows close quickly, you've got to be quick with those mechanics. You've got to be crisp with those mechanics. And it has to translate into games where it is unforgivingly fast in the NFL. But if Lance gets that together, and this offseason is going to be a good opportunity to make some progress, but then he just needs reps. He's just been hurt. He needs reps. If he gets that together, we'll see more trust from Kyle Shanahan as far as his ability to deliver from the pocket, which will mean less runs. Then the design running game is basically a sideshow to what Trey Lance can do from the pocket, and less of a chance to get hurt. That is the goal for Lance. But the accuracy has to get better. For that, the mechanics have to get better. As far as Purdy and Garoppolo, well, there aren't any plans to keep Jimmy Garoppolo, at least right now. Brock Purdy is the player that the 49ers are hoping is ready for the 2023 season. That timeline's obviously been thrown into question. I think that the 49ers quarterback offseason plan is to pursue an affordable veteran option. We talk about somebody like Andy Dalton, who a Twitter user said looked like Sourdough Sam, which I got a chuckle out of. Teddy Bridgewater, Taylor Heineke. I think the 49ers obviously, when you look at this, when you look at how good both Purdy and Garoppolo were this year, in an ideal world, you'd be able to keep both of them. This past season was an ideal world, and that they had Purdy, Garoppolo, and Lance. But Garoppolo's performance, despite the fact that he was hurt, is going to make him too pricey to keep. He's not hurt this offseason. So the 49ers need that affordable vet to fit within the cost structure, because you want the two rookies and Purdy and Lance to help you spearhead a salary cap approach that lets you sign players at other positions. You can't be dishing out 25, 30 million, whatever it's going to be for Garoppolo. Maybe a little bit less if he only signs a one-year prove-it deal with incentives. But still, you're not going to get him as cheap as you could have gotten him, as you did get him last year. So that affordable vet plus a rookie draftee, somebody like Fresno State's Jake Haener, who's going to be available in the mid to later rounds, tough as shit, right? We talk about his grit in that game against UCLA a couple seasons ago, how that could pair really well with what the 49ers actually need at quarterback, a guy who can get the ball out on time. You're going to have to bolster the quarterback room somehow, some way this offseason, and I think they're going to be able to do it through two avenues, through an affordable vet and a rookie draftee. But you look at how good Purdy and Garoppolo were last year, that's a lot of credit to 49ers quarterbacks coach Brian Griese. As far as Trey Lance, jury's still out. Sample too small, but Lance pictured right here on the left with Purdy and with Brian Griese might be who the 49ers have to rely on, at least to begin this next 2023 season. The point is that we don't know. Uncertainty rules the day, and that's what's going to make this offseason so exciting. That's why you have to check out the State of the 49ers QB piece. You could delve into that quarterback efficiency chart a lot closer to see where the truth was as far as efficiency goes. A, Garoppolo was really damn good. B, Purdy was really damn good right after him. C, Lance really struggled. They've got to bring that third name back up to par, or at least up to par for the first time at the NFL level. He had better moments over a little bit larger sample in 2021 than he did in 2022. And then, D, you've got to insulate the quarterback room, especially if the plan is indeed for Jimmy Garoppolo to sign elsewhere for more money. You've got to find a way to bring in another vet to help guide that room. Right now, it's Brian Griese, who's the veteran leader of that room, former QB under Mike Shanahan. You got a couple young guys in Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. Purdy actually older than Trey Lance, by the way. Trey wasn't too happy about that when he found out. And then so you get the veteran in there and you maybe add another rookie into the fold, or you bring in two veterans. Who knows? We'll see what the 49ers do this offseason. All right, State of the 49ers quarterback edition on the Lombardi AM Scramble. We'll talk to everybody very soon. Thanks for joining this morning. Go check out that piece on The Athletic. It definitely is worth your subscription to check this sucker out, especially for something like this. You're going to be able to see some of the advanced efficiency numbers, not just the really simplistic stats that don't tell the full story. All right, everybody take care.